Back to Sunrise on the Hill at 8. Your political wake-up call continues for about a half hour more. I'm Corey Smith.
And I'm Hillary Howard.
All right, so we continue our discussions about the next steps to reopen the government.
The Senate advanced a bill to fund parts of the government, but it still needs to make its way through the House. For how some Republican members of Congress are feeling about the Senate bill, we're joined this morning by Florida Representative Maria Salazar. Good morning, Congresswoman. So happy to have you with us.
Wonderful, from the land of the free, the state of Florida.
Hey, we could take some Florida weather today. It is cold up in
cold
DC.
here. Yeah,
Not here. 85 in Miami.
That's nice. We're buying our tickets, but the planes won't get us there in time, so never mind. So, let's talk about what happened in the Senate. 8 Democrats, or eight members of the Democratic caucus chose to vote with the Republicans. The government is reopened, and yet health care is a really big issue. Tell us how you feel about the vote and how important it is even for Republicans to address this looming issue of health care for Americans.
Of course, but the problem is that the Dems created this problem because we always knew that we didn't sit at the table and negotiate the tax subsidies and health care. I am in one of those districts, number 27 in Florida, that needs Obamacare. And I've always said I'm a Republican, but if you need your Obamacare, you keep it. And if you need the subsidies, if you need them, we're going to give them to you. But we got to review what happened in 2020 under the Dems, that they gave subsidies to everybody, right? We don't want to give subsidies to everybody. We want to give subsidies to people that need it. So we want to sit at the table and negotiate that. But these 40 days, like Mike Johnson said, that we have been in the wilderness like the Israelis, no need. There was no need, because right now we're going to go back to where we started off, which is to let's keep the government open or reopen the government. Let's negotiate the other 9 bills, the appropriation bills, through regular order. And then let's fund the government and sit at the table and negotiate the rest of the laws. Very bad on the Dems. And let's hope the American people understand what really happened. Because one of the things that we need to remember, and with this I end, is that this same budget was voted by the Dems 13 times before, and it was made and put together by Nancy Pelosi. So why don't they like it now?
How many other Republicans are like you? How many other Republicans might be willing to have this ACA extension?
That's a very good question. Remember that everyone represents their districts. I represent 27. I can only speak for the constituents in South Florida. And I am the 5th, one of the most important. I'm one of the top 5 districts that needs this type of help. But I do know that my people also believe that fraud, waste, and abuse is not part of the American story. So we need to go back, look at the rolls, see who's enrolled, who needs it and who doesn't, and then clean it up, which is the same thing with Medicare and Medicaid. I mean, we don't want any fraud, but we do want to help those people who need it. And there are many people in my conference, I would say 10, 12, I cannot give you the number, but we do know there's the need, and leadership understands that we do have to put legislation on the floor that caters to that need, period.
Given that these subsidies expire at the end of the year, are you hopeful that you all just work on the ACA part of this and then leave healthcare reform, for lack of a better term, for later on in 2026? Or are you wanting to get all of this done between now and the time these subsidies go away?
You see, we have to go back and we got to ask Mike Johnson. But what I'm saying to you is that we're going to address everything we need to. Republicans, we're not dumb and we're not socialists. We know what we're doing. And look, we have kept it intact. We kept ourselves together. Johnson, fantastic leadership. And right now, we're just going to go back, like I said, to step number 1. Open the office, go back to the boardroom, and let's negotiate what we need to put on the floor. And I'm sure it will pass. This will pass. Johnson is an extraordinary leader.
So we have all watched as all sorts of scenes have played out before us, in person or on television, about people being taken away from their communities, people who aren't criminals, people who are sent away, and also American citizens. ProPublica did a piece where they found more than 170 cases this year where citizens were detained at raids and protests, more than 20 held more than a day. agents arresting Americans, sometimes for no discernible reason. How do you characterize all of this, and then tell us about the bill you're working on?
Terrible. We cannot be doing that. That's terrible. That's not the American way. And that's why I've introduced legislation. We mean well. I have no problems with Homan. Homan is a good man. The problem is that there is some ignorance and some lack of knowledge. But the way to solve immigration and to kick the bad hombres out of the country this is not the proper way to do it. We need to concentrate ICE funding that we allotted 2 months ago under the BBB bill. We need to put that money to look for the criminals and the rapists and the murderers and the illegals who should not be in the country. But there is a big mass of other illegals, undocumented, and it's true, who have been here for more than 5 years, who are contributing to the economy, who the economy needs if we want to continue growing as the #1 economy in the world. And those people need to stay under some type of legality, which I call the dignity status. Not citizenship, not amnesty, not federal programs. They cannot vote. They cannot claim Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, nothing. But they can stay, pay a fine, pay 1% of their salary, and live a dignified life in the promised land with helping the American economy, because those hands are needed. I have all the stats in the world, but you know that we will not be able to grow if we don't have hands in construction, hospitality, and agricultural.
So
those people who are illegals can contribute billions of dollars to the treasury.
So let's dig in on the Dignity Act. We should point out this is a bipartisan bill, along with Representative Veronica Escobar of Texas. So correct me, we have some information up on the screen. This would be folks who are eligible or undocumented immigrants present in the U.S. since before 2021. You get up to 7 years of legal status with work authorization. As you mentioned, you got to pay restitution. You have to check in with DHS. You are not allowed to claim federal benefits, and there is no path to citizenship. A couple of questions. Why that benchmark date of since before 2021, and what happens once you get past that 7th year if you are not going to be able to gain citizenship?
You can claim another 7 years.
Okay.
And you pay taxes once again. But the gist of this legislation is that there is no path to citizenship ever. And you know what's the good news? That the illegals and many Hispanics do not want to be citizens. They're happy to be Mexicans, Hondurans, Guatemalans, Nicaraguans. They're happy to be that. They're happy to live in the United States with a dignified status. They want to go home for Christmas, bury their mom, come back, work, pay taxes, raise their American children, but they're not Americans. And they're happy to stay that way. What's happening right now is that those people who are contributing and do not have a criminal record and being yanked in 1 minute and thrown off somewhere else after they have been here for 15, 20, 25 years, that's not the Christian way. That's not the right way. That's not the American way of doing things. And that's why I'm sending the message to President Trump. And Trump is a smart guy. He comes from construction and from hospitality. And he knows that those hands are needed. He has said it, that the good hombres could stay. And that's why I'm giving him the perfect legislation. No path, no amnesty. Because what's amnesty? How do you define that? For me, it's just giving them a path to citizenship. Well, there's no amnesty here. Make them pay, come out of the shadows. For security reasons, we're going to know then who is your neighbor. We're going to know exactly who lives in the country. We're going to be able to then hone in on the criminals and everything that we gave to ICE, concentrate on those people, kick them out of the country if they are illegals and they have committed a crime. But then the other ones, let them stay as long as they do not have a criminal record. Easy. It's a win-win-win, and that brings billions and billions of dollars to the treasury. We're talking about $4 trillion in 10 years because the growth in the GDP will be so immense. And we're creating a pot of $70 billion with a percentage that they're paying as a fine, the $7,000 over 7 years, that creates a pot of $50 billion. So we can give it to the states, and the states can retrain or re-educate some American workers who feel that they have lost their jobs because of illegal hands. And we're creating another pot that we're going to give back to the Treasury with that 1% levy, because they have to pay 1% of their salary to the Treasury. Hey, that helps Social Security and helps Medicare. Aren't we bankrupt in Social Security? Right there, that's the pot.
How do you protect workers then who become eligible and take part in this program? We heard the president talking about maybe giving farmers a little more control. These are folks who, by many accounts, will maybe having their time in America hanging on a knife's edge because they have this job, they're eligible for this program. How do you protect those workers from being exploited by the businesses who hire them?
That's a very good question, because you have E-Verify, which right now is voluntary. Why is it voluntary? Let's make it mandatory. So no business owner in construction, hospitality, and agricultural, dairy, slaughterhouses that need intense labor cannot hire anyone, because you have to go through the E-Verify computer. But they won't need to, because the hands will be there. Maybe some of the people who are already working for them will come out of the shadows, will be legal, and that person will be paid the same thing as any other American worker. So we're leveling the playing field.
All right. Thank you so much.
And then that's, that. And if you, an American born here in the United States, speaks perfect English, feels that someone took your job, then you can go to that pot that I just created, and then you can learn how to do something else, which will give you an edge, and you can make more money.
All right, we will see how this bill ultimately unfolds.
We didn't even
wrote a book.
That is right. That is right.
Beautiful.
This is a very personal story to you, Congresswoman. We certainly do appreciate you.
Hey, I love the Republic, and I want to keep that advantage that President Trump gained with the Hispanics, that right now we're losing it. I want to bring it back.
All right. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Maria Salazar.